Let's go through how to add and subtract fractions, sixth graders. So, when you're adding and subtracting fractions, you have to remember that the denominator tells you the size of the pieces that you're working with. Now, in order to add and subtract, you have to add and subtract the same size pieces. Okay? And so what we call that is a common denominator. To find a common denominator, you have to ask yourself, what do both denominators go into? What number would both of these go into? You can always find a common denominator by using the multiple of both, or multiplying 4 times 3. Okay, so that's one way to find a common denominator every time, is to think 4 times 3, or use the numbers of the denominator to make a common denominator. And then here's what we do. Put the common denominator you're going to use underneath it, and then think, what number times 4 equals 12? Well, obviously it's 3, it's the other denominator. So multiply that by both numbers, the top and the bottom number, to find the common multiple. Okay? I'm not taking questions yet, I'll wait till the end. Then, do the same thing to the other fraction. Convert 2/3 to 12ths. 3 times 4, and so multiply both numbers by the other denominator. That equals 8/12. Now, once you have a common denominator, then you can think of this as 3 plus 8/12. Or 3 plus 8, 3/12, and 8/12 is 11/12. So that's our answer. 3/12 and 8/12 is 11/12. Now, if you get a fraction that you can reduce, make sure that you put it in simplest form. Okay? Make sure you put it in simplest form. But if you end up with a top-heavy fraction, let's say that you end up with 13/12. You could leave that as 13/12 or change it to a mixed number. Okay? You can leave it as a top-heavy fraction or change it to a mixed number if you end up with a top-heavy fraction. Leo?
How did you get the 12? Like, how do you know which one? Did you basically just multiply the values?
Multiply the two numbers together.
Do you always do that?
You don't have to do that, but that's one way to do it. It always works if you use that. Sometimes if you multiply them both together, so you end up with a number that is bigger than you need. Okay? For example, let's say that you have, let's say that you have 7/12 plus 3/4. Okay? Now, you could multiply these together, but 4 goes into 12. So, since both numbers go into 12, we could just convert this one to 12ths. How many 12ths is that?
3.
Yep. So we multiply both by 3 and get 9/12. Now we have 7/12 plus 9/12. We have the same size pieces. And then we can add 7 plus 9 is 16, and they are in 12ths. Okay? Remember, don't add the denominators because that's just telling you how big the pieces are. Right? Tommy?
Can't you do 12 times 4 and 4 times 12 and then you get 4?
Yes?
So that would work and the other way?
Yep. Now, also, wouldn't we want to reduce this? We would want to simplify these numbers. So 16 and 12, what can they both be divided by?
4.
4. So then we have to put it in simplest form. Divide them both by 4 and we get 4/3.
That's a top-heavy fraction.
That's a top-heavy fraction, but it's still in simplest form.
Can you put it into a mixed number?
You could put it into a mixed number, that wouldn't be wrong.
1/3.
Addie?
Where'd you get the 3? Why are you dividing?
Well, because when we go back to our procedure, it says find a number, or what do both denominators go into?
12.
Right? And 12 goes into 12. The number always goes into itself. And 4 goes into 12. 4 goes into 12 3 times. That's where the 3 came from. We'd ask, how many times does 4 go into 12? And that helps us find the number to use to multiply. Okay? Let's take a look at one from your assignment. Number 23. You're going to do 23 through 36 and 41 to 43.
What page?
Okay?
Page 144.
Yep, page 144. Now it says estimate. Since we did estimation yesterday, you can skip the estimation part. But here's what I want you to do. Write down the problem. 7/9 plus 1/2. Then, underneath it, decide your common denominator. And write the new problem underneath it. So, what common denominator can we make
18.
with 9 and 2? Colton? 18. Yep. Stop talking. Not while I'm teaching. Okay? That's never okay, not while I'm teaching. Yes, 18. So we'd have to do 9 times 2. So do 7 times 2. And 2 times 9. So do 1 times 9. Then add the pieces. 14/18 plus 9/18. Is this in simplest form?
Yeah.
Or can we take out any common factors? 23 is prime, right? Yep.
How did you get 15?
7 times 2. Okay? So keep going and do 23 through 36 and 41 to 43. 23 to 36 and 41 to 43. You don't have to estimate.
Yeah, wait.